Okay, fine. Good morning, guys. My voice is audible?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So before proceeding, any questions? Anything you want to discuss? Any confusion you have? No? Okay. So I think we have covered in here. Truncate and load validations we were seeing yesterday. Truncate and load. So any question on truncate and load? Anything you want to ask? Any confusion? Okay, so hope you understood the concept of truncate and load. So in truncate and load, the main concept is like whenever you're going to load data in a staging for the next day, so the previous day data has to be deleted, right? That is a truncation, and then you will load the data. That is what we have seen yesterday. Like this is 1st of December, and this is the data in a stage table. The same data we have loaded into the IL. Okay, so the 1st December transaction is over. Now on 2nd December, I have received this source file. Okay, I have loaded this data in a staging. So what I will do first of all, so in a staging, I have this data present, right? So I will delete this entire data. Then I will copy this data of 2nd December and directly I will paste here, right? So this is known as truncated. I hope this is clear.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
clear.
Okay, no questions, right? Okay. So this was truncate load, and then we have say full load, incremental load. Okay, then now let's move.
Sir, if the source file contains only incremental load, then truncated load is meaningless, na, sir?
Source file contains
Contains
only
only incremental.
incremental. Correct. That will not make any. That will
Sense.
not make any sense. But you know, actually, what happens? That's a good question you have asked. Okay, let me tell you what happens now. Oh, just a minute, guys. Okay. Oh, 0021. Okay. Let's try to understand this, and let me take the same example. Let me test it here. This is it. Okay, very good question. So we are talking about truncate load and wants to understand the impact that if we have incremental, then what will happen to truncate load. So let's try to understand. And this is like truncate load with incremental. Okay. So if it is incremental, so let's just start with the 1st December date. Then it will be easy to understand. 1st December data, I received the source file. I have done the basic validation checks. I have done the control and job, and data is loaded into the staging. Okay, this is simple because all those things happened on 1st December only. So I have 1st December data only. I have loaded here, and the same data I run the job and loaded in IL. This is clear. Okay. Now we are talking about incremental load. On 2nd December, next day, source team has sent me file. So if we're talking about incremental load, this should be the file. Is this correct? Yeah, guys, is this correct? Do you think if you're talking about incremental load, then this file format is correct? This one, this file, what we have received from source team?
No, it
I
should
think
have only
only
the
We
Current
should have
data.
only second data, means date of second. First date for
Perfect. If we are talking about incremental load, then I am not bothered. I don't want the data of previous day. I am standing on 2nd December. I don't want this data of 1st December. Why you have sent me this data? This data I don't want. Why? Because already it has been agreed with the source team that we are working on incremental mode. So I don't want the previous day data. Just send me the that data only. So it means if you are working an incremental load, this data is not required, right? I am deleting this. Is this clear? Okay. So on 2nd December, I will receive this source file from the source team. Okay, fine. Let me delete this one. Now tell me one thing. Sorry. Now tell me one thing. I received this file on 2nd December. I will do the basic file validation checks, right? I will check the file format, header, trailer, count, and all those things. I think we have discussed, and that is clear to you guys. After I have done the file validation, what I will do? Guys, you have to speak up, otherwise we will waste our time. Please.
So we have to run the job.
Right. After file validation, you have to run the job, right? Correct?
yeah.
Basic file validation. After that, run the stage job. Why I have written a stage job? Because I want to load data in staging layer or a stage table. That's why I have to run the job for a staging. Please make a note. You will be having different jobs. If you want to load data in a staging table, another job. If you want to load data in integration layer, separate job. If you want to load data in access layer, you will be having separate job. Okay. Why separate jobs? Because if you want to load data in these different layers, you will be having different logics. So to handle those logics, the jobs must be different. Okay. Fine. You have run the job. Okay. So after that, what will happen? Previously, you have this data in staging, right? Previously, you have this data in staging, correct? Is that clear? Okay.
Yeah.
Once you will run the job, this job, what it will do? If you're working on truncate and load, first of all, it will delete this data, correct?
Yeah.
It will delete because this is the meaning of truncation. It will truncate the data. It will truncate it. And then what it will do? It will copy from the source file. Okay. And it will paste here. Got it? So truncate and load is very straightforward concept. No confusion. It will delete the data in a staging previous day data. Whatever it is present, how many records are present, job will not bother about all those things. It will delete the data and then it will copy the data which is present in source file and blindly it will paste it into the staging. Is this clear?
Yeah, clear.
Perfect. So this is the case of truncate and load. Guys, please ask questions if you're not getting. Suppose if you're not working in truncate and load mode, okay, this was a truncate and load example, right? So on 2nd December in staging, you have data of only 2nd December. On 1st December in staging, you have data of only 1st December. Okay. Suppose if you're not working in truncate and load, no truncate load. Suppose in the project, it has been agreed that you will not be having any truncate load. Okay. So on 2nd December, what will happen? This is 2nd December. This was 1st December. On 2nd December, what will happen to the stage data?
We have two records, 1 and 2.
Perfect. Very good. So already one record was present. Okay, you can see this record was present here. So if you're not working on truncate and load mode, then what will happen? It will copy the data of 2nd December and then it will paste here. So now you have 2 records. Is it clear,
Yeah, clear.
Yes, sir.
everyone?
Yeah, clear.
Okay. Now, suppose on 3rd December, you have received data on 3rd December. Okay, 3rd December. You have received this source file. You are working in incremental mode. So first December. Okay. Now, if you are working in incremental mode, and this is the source file you have received on 3rd of December, is this correct or not?
No, it is not.
Why it is not correct?
Because all load data is loaded.
Sorry, all.
All the data is loaded.
So if we are working on incremental mode, so I don't want the data of previous days. 1st and 2nd December data I don't want, right? You want data of only 3rd December because you're working on incremental mode. Okay, I'm deleting this. So you should receive this data only because you are working on incremental mode or delta mode. So you want the data of 3rd December only. Okay, fine. Now we have done the basic file validation. After that, what you will do? You will run the
Job.
stage job. Okay. Now after this, again we will see 2 scenarios. First of all, let's try to understand if you're working in truncate load mode. Okay. So if it is truncate load, so already you have this data present in a staging, right? You have this data present in a staging. Then what will happen? If you
This
work
data will be deleted and third of date will be going to.
perfect, very good. So the job will first of all delete this data. It will delete this data. Then
It will load third of that.
it will copy this data of 3rd December only and it will load here. Is this clear?
Sir.
Clear.
Yeah, clear.
And if you're not working on truncate load, then what will happen? You have this data, no truncate load mode. You have this data,
Yeah.
right? Then what will happen?
3 records will be going to load it.
Correct. It will silently copy the data which is present in source file and then it will append at the last, right? Fine. So this is if you're not working in truncate and load, and this is if you're working in truncate and load. Now you understood the difference of truncate and load and if you're not working in truncate and load and incremental load.
Yeah.
Now tell me, what is the benefit if you're not working in truncate and load mode? This is the data if you're not working in truncate and load. What is the benefit?
History, we will see history of
Very
all
good.
the.
You can see the history. Okay,
Yeah.
after some time, if suppose business stakeholders or business users have raised some production issue, okay, they have raised some issue, some defect, then you can see the data that what data was received from the source file. Correct, no? If today, if you want to see that on 1st December, what was the data we received, it is 2000. But if you are working in truncate and load, you don't have the data, you have missed the data, you deleted that data. But here you have that option that you can go back and you can see what data you have received. Correct? Is that clear?
Yeah, clear.
Okay, now tell me one demerit of no truncate load. What's the demerit of this one? One merit we have discussed that we have the history data. We can go back and we can check that what data we have received, correct, from the source. But there is one demerit as well. Tell me what is the demerit?
Performance.
Performance, how?
Time taking will be more. We need to load all the records.
Correct. Yeah. So slowly the size will increase, right? Daily you are appending 1, 2 records. The size will increase. It will take more disk space. And ultimately, if the number of records are going in millions and millions, then the performance will be impacted. Okay. Is that clear? Truncate load with incremental and all those things.
Yeah, clear.
Anyone who wants me to repeat this? No? Okay.
No.
No response. Take this now. Okay, so guys, let's move to the next one. Delete file validation. What is this delete file validation? Okay, now let's try to understand. These are very important and critical concepts. Okay, what is delete file validation? Let's try to understand this. Okay. Suppose this path, okay, this path is my Unix path, okay. This is my Unix path. Okay. On a daily basis, I am getting data on this path. So like you can see here, we have a file we have received on 3rd of December. Okay, this file we have received. Okay. So once I have received this file from the source team, those are not speaking, please go on mute. Yeah, once I have received this file from the source team, what I will do? I will do some basic validation checks, correct? After that, I will load data in staging, correct? So once you have loaded data in staging, it means the data from this file has moved to the staging layer. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
From this file, data has moved to the staging layer. Now, try to understand this very carefully. This was the 3rd December data. Now, suppose 4th December unit. Yeah, and this is the data I have received on 4th December, next day. Okay, because on a daily basis, I'll be receiving data. This file I have received on 4th December, and this was a file which I have received on 3rd December. Okay. Now, 4th December, I have received a new file, and that contains all the transactions, what has happened on 4th of December. Okay. First of all, I will do the basic file validation. Then I will run the stage job to load data in a staging table. Now, can you think and tell me what will happen if I have both the files here at the same location?
both dates will be loaded, I think. Third and fourth.
Correct. So when I will run the job to load data in staging, my intention is to load data of 4th December, right? In staging, correct? But when I will run the job will come at this location and the job will get confused. Why? Why it will get confused?
Both third and fourth are there.
Because it will see that with the name Restaurant Delhi, I have 2 files present here. With the name Restaurant Delhi, how many files are there? 2 files are there. So the job will get confused what to do or what not to do. Okay. So now here are multiple scenarios. Okay. Multiple things can happen. First scenario, the job will fail and it will throw an error message that I have observed, I have found 2 files or duplicate files and job will fail. First, this can happen. Second, the job will pick the data from both the files. Okay, and it will load both the data in staging. Again, that's a problem or not? Because already you have data of 3rd December. Again, the job will pick data from both the files. So you will be having duplicate data of 3rd December.
Duplicate. Yeah.
Again, that's the problem, right?
Yes.
So how to solve this problem? How to solve this problem, guys?
We need to delete the old record, means start of December.
Very good. So on 3rd December, when you have received this file, you have run the job, a staging job, and data was loaded in staging. So after that, you have to write a logic so that once the data has been loaded, so this file should either be deleted or it should be moved to some other folder, right? Maybe you create a one new folder here, archive folder. Okay, so this file, once the data has been loaded, they should be moved to the archive folder. If I am implementing this logic, so then now tell me, so there will be any problem? Now you have only this file. Job will not get confused. It will pick the data from this file and it will load it. No problem. Understood or not?
Yeah, clear.
Clear to everyone?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So the expectation is after every run, the file should be moved to the archive folder. Okay, so that the next day the job will not get confused with the two files. Okay, and it can behave abnormally. Either it will fail or it will load the data from both the files, and then you'll be having duplicate records in the staging table. So that's a big problem. Why? Because if you have duplicate records on the report, you will get duplicate numbers, and that's a big problem. Okay, is that clear? Any question?
Yeah, clear.
Okay, now you can ask me that Tanveer, this 3rd December file you have moved here, right? So instead of moving in this archive folder, why you have not deleted that file? That is also one option. You can delete it, but why you have moved to some other folder? What is the reason? Who wants to answer this question? Any guesses?
Historical data.
Historical data. Then
If you want the data, if anything missing, we can take it like backup.
correct. Very good. Very good answer. After some time, if there is any mistake or any problem, or if you think the data is not correct, okay, then you will be having a backup here. You can go to this file and you can check what data we have received, right? Because actually what happens, I will tell you. You are receiving this data from the source file, okay? You are applying your logic and you are loading data into the staging IL integration layer, access layer, and you are showing finally on the report. So what happens in the live scenario? The business users, they will tell you that, okay, the numbers coming on report is not correct. Please check why the numbers are not correct, okay? Then you have to do the root cause analysis, that what is the mistake. So in that case, you have to start from the beginning. Okay, that depends actually. Someone wants to start from the beginning or someone will start from the top. So in that case, first of all, you will check that what data I have received from the source file and what I have loaded. Okay. So in that case, if you have backup of this, you can go to this file and you can see what data source team has sent, because sometimes the source team will send you incorrect data and you have applied correct logic in the code or in the job. So if you don't have the backup of these files, you will not be having any evidence and you cannot claim to source team that you have sent me incorrect data. So that's why we should not delete the data, but we should move the data to archive folder. Hope this is clear.
Yeah, clear. So, but we are maintaining the data in staging layer also now.
We are maintaining data in correct. Okay, very good question. So you are telling that, Tanveer, I am maintaining this data in staging, right? I'm maintaining this data in staging. I'm maintaining history. If I'm not working in no truncate load, so I have history. I can go back and I can see here. Correct. This is the thing you are telling.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
why I'm maintaining the history of files? Let's delete
Yeah.
that. That is not required. Okay. See, the reason for this is this is your area. Okay, this is your area. And this is the file which we have received directly from the source team. If something goes wrong, you can claim on this, that this file we have received from you. This is the proof. But if you are claiming on this staging, the source team will not agree. Why? Because maybe he will tell you that there is some problem in the code or the job what you have written, because of this data is incorrect, because you have manipulated data here. Okay, so that's why in that case this evidence will work, because this is the direct file which you have received from the source team. Okay, that's why you have to keep a track of this as well. Fine. But you can ask one more question, that down the line slowly this will start growing and it will consume more space. So we have a logic, it depends from project to project, that after 3 months or 6 months we used to delete the all the data in archive folder as well, so that it will be clean, and then again new set of data will be coming here, new set of files will be coming here. Is that clear?
Yeah, clear.
Okay, very good, perfect. So this is known as delete file validation, or I can mention is archive. Okay, archive file validation, because in very few projects I have seen they used to delete that file. Okay, but it's better suggested to archive. But whatever it may be, the project manager they want to delete or archive, you have to validate that. If you are telling that you want to delete, then file must be deleted after the job run successfully. Or if they're telling that you want to archive, then you have to go to the archive folder and you have to check that file is present there or not. Okay, fine. Now the next is restricted data file validation. You have received the source file. You have received the source file here. This was the source file you have received. Okay. Then in this source file, you have customer mobile number. Maybe suppose, okay. Sometimes it happens, no? If you are going to purchase medicine or something else, maybe in medicine shop, you might have seen that they will ask for the mobile number. They will keep a track of database, right? So the next time if you will go, they will ask the mobile number and they will be having history of the medicines what you have bought, and from there they can give it. Okay, so they used to keep a track of mobile number as well. Maybe it is something like that, mobile number they have taken from multiple customers. Okay, now mobile number is a personal information, right? Mobile number is a personal information, and this should not be displayed, this should not be visible to all the users or to all the customers. I think you all know this. So you have discussed with the source team that you should not send this customer mobile. This is a important personal information of the customers. We should not display this on the tables, because this is a personal information. Otherwise, customer will lose trust in us. They will think that they are selling our important informations, and so this should not be shown. Okay, this is the confidential information. Fine. So in this case, it has been agreed with the source team or the manager at the Delhi that don't send this information. Keep it with you only. Okay. What happened one day, by mistake, he has sent this information. By mistake, what he has done? He has sent this information. Now, as a tester, what is the responsibility? What you will do? Yeah. Are you getting my question? It's a defect because it has been agreed that this is a confidential data or restricted data. This should not be sent in the source file, but the source team has sent this data. So it is a defect. Okay, it is a defect. And so you will raise a defect. But ideally, what should happen? The job must fail if any this kind of data is coming, because you cannot check this manually on a daily basis. Everything should be automated. The developers have to implement this in the code. If such kind of data is coming, fail the job. So if the job will fail, then you will do the analysis that why the job has failed, and you will come to know that the job has failed because source team has sent this confidential data. Okay, so this is known as confidential or restricted data validation. So you have to validate that this data must not be present in the source file. Okay, now suppose you are testing this scenario. Okay, you are testing this scenario, and on a particular day, this particular data is not present. So how you will test it? Who will tell me how you will test this particular scenario? Mhm.
Negative testing.
Negative testing.
Negative.
Very good. How you will do that?
We need to add some personal information
Correct.
and we
Very
need to.
good. Very good. Very good. So intentionally, you will add this information in the source file. Okay. You will add this information, column mobile, and you will give some values. Okay. And then after that, what you will do? You will run the stage load. And your expectation is that job should pass or fail.
Yeah, clear.
Job should fail, right?
Yeah,
Job
yeah.
should fail. So if the job is failing, it means this is pass. Because your expectation is that if you're getting mobile number in the source file, then job must fail, because as per the agreement, we should not get the mobile number, and job is failing. It means everything is correct. But in the source file, you have added mobile number and the job is not failing. Job is passed. It means the job is not able to capture this scenario. So there is some defect in the job. Then you have to raise the defect to the developers. Correct?
Yeah, correct.
Hope this is clear, everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. So these were the few, I think 7 to 8 basic validations which you have to do at file level or the extraction level. So far we're discussing only about the extraction of ETL, extraction. It means if you're extracting data from source team, what all validations you have to do. And if you're facing any interview, these questions will be asked. They will not ask in detail about all these things. They will not ask like this, okay? So what they can ask, they will ask you that, okay, in extraction layer, what all validations you are doing? Okay, so they will ask. So out of this, I think if you will tell 2 to 3 or 4 scenarios, that is more than enough. Okay, then what they can ask, they will ask you, tell me different kind of load or different types of load, especially to freshers or 2 to 3 or 4 5 years experience. They will ask this kind of questions. Tell me different type of loads. Then you have to tell them we have full load, incremental load, historical load, current load, and all those things. Okay, so load part is clear, guys.
Yeah, clear.
Clear. So we have, first of all, historical load. Historical load will always be
Full load.
full load, right? It's always be full load. Okay, and then after historical, what load you have?
Current load.
Very good. Current load. In current load, what also possibilities are there?
Initial and incremental.
Any full
Yeah, full load.
full load and incremental load. Okay, and then you have historical full load, current load, you have full load, incremental load, and then you have truncate and load. These are the different kinds of load. Please make a note of this. This is a very important question from interview perspective. You may get questions based on this, and this is a bit confusing, so you should be clear. We have discussed with examples as well, so try to keep this in your mind. This is very important question. Okay, so that was the important. Any test case or any point in this which you want me to discuss, because extraction we are almost done. Anything which you want to discuss? No. Okay, now this okay, now these are the various file format in which you can get the data. Here I have shown you that you are getting data in XLS format, but in real scenario, you can get data in XML file, okay, or API link, or DB link, or JSON format, .csv format, .txt format, .dat format. All those formats are possible. Sent a query yesterday. Okay, fine. Yeah, so someone has asked me a question yesterday about that file delimiter. Okay, very good question. Let me answer that. Sometimes you will get file source file like this. Okay, name, and then pipe delimiter, date, cost, profit. Okay, like this. Name will be Delhi. Again pipe. Date will be 1st December 2021. Again pipe. Cost is 500. Profit is 200. Okay. Similarly, we have some other records as well. I think, yeah, Vaidyanathan has asked me this question that Tanveer, if I'm receiving a source file in which columns are pipe delimited, this is a pipe, okay, and columns are separated by pipe, then do I need to remove this pipe before loading data in a stage? No, you don't have to do anything in this, but this has to be agreed with the source team. They should not do like this, that once they have sent data in this format, okay, and next day they're sending data without pipe delimited. They have separated by comma. They separated by comma. They should not do this. If it has been agreed that they will send data in pipe delimited, data has to be sent in pipe delimited only. They should not be comma separated. But if it has been discussed that they will send in this format, then they have to send in this format only. They should not send in this format. It means they don't have to mix. If it has been agreed that they will send in pipe delimited, they have to send in pipe delimited. If it has been agreed that they will send in comma separated, then they have to send in comma separated only. Okay, and you don't have to remove this comma or pipe. You don't have to do anything. Ideally, in the job should take care of this. Job will automatically see, okay, the data is pipe delimited. It will understand it and it will load the data. Nothing has to be done from your end or the developer end. Okay, is that clear? Vaidyanathan, is that clear?
Yeah, Tanvir, yeah.
Okay.
But one quick question. If it's suppose like let's assume like it's a comma delimiter,
Mhm.
and if we are loading an address which obviously have a comma, so how during that situation how it will handle?
Okay, okay. Again, very good question. So you are telling that I have an address file, sorry, address as well here. And suppose my address is like New Delhi and then comma Rajiv Chowk. Okay, New Delhi, you have Rajiv Chowk. So Vaidyanathan is asking that, okay, Tanvi, you have mentioned that the columns are comma separated, but here I have a data in which we have comma. So in this case, it is like New Delhi is in another column and Rajiv Chowk is in another column, but it is not like that. Actually, New Delhi and Rajiv Chowk are present in the same column. Okay, this is the question, right, Vaidyanathan?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, so how the code will catch this? Okay, very good question. So in Unix command, you have a awk command. Maybe if you have worked or you know this, then you might be knowing about this. If you don't know this, not an issue. In awk command, you have a format or you have a feature where you can give the column number. Okay, it will pick the column number. So if you have given 4 column number, so it will understand that this entire data is of 4th column. Okay, so from there you can handle, and in Python as well you have those features that it will understand that, okay, entire data is of 4th column instead of this comma, whatever it may be. But as a tester, you don't have to bother about that. Okay, that has to be taken care by the developers in the job. But that's a good question. If you want to do a negative testing, you should do this as well. Intentionally add a comma and check how your job is behaving. Okay, is that clear? So you have those features in Unix and Python as well, so it will understand it and it will load the data in a staging layer. But if you want to test this scenario, you can implement this. Any other question? Okay, is this clear, guys, everyone?
Yeah, clear.
Okay, so I think if you don't have any question in this file validation, so this extraction part is over. Okay, so far we have seen that how to get data from the source team. We have to discuss with them that what are the source files, how many source files they'll be sending us, and then we have to discuss at what time they will send and all those things. Okay, very important concept. Okay, now coming to the slide. So this was the ETL. We have seen that first of all, we are extracting data from multiple sources. If you see, if this is not good, if testing has not been done perfectly here, so these all layers will be of no use. This will give you incorrect data. So you have to spend good amount of time here. You have to confirm the data what you have received from source is correct or not. Then only this all layers will be correct. Okay. Moving to the next one. Again, this is like telling you about ETL layers. These are the data sources. You can get data from multiple sources, operational system or flat file or any other system. Okay. And sometime what happens, it is not like always you'll be getting data in files only. Sometime they will send data in one database or one server. Maybe the source team will tell that, okay, we will not send you data in that file format. We will load data in Microsoft SQL Server. And from there, you please take and load it in your Oracle database. So that is also possible. Okay, I have worked in a project where we used to get data in Microsoft SQL Server and flat file both. And from there, we have to move data into the Oracle database. But you don't have to bother that how that will happen. But just keep this point in your mind that it is not like you will always be getting data in source file only. You can get data in Microsoft SQL Server or any other database. And from there, you can move. You can get data in XML as well, in JSON as well. So all these formats, the source team can send you data. So once you have received data from multiple sources, do the basic file validation. After that, load data in a staging area. A staging area is like a dumping area. You will not apply much logic. Very simple basic logics are applied here, which we will discuss. Okay. So in a staging area, you have to load all the data. And here you have to think that this will be a truncate load or there will be no truncate load or whatever it may be. And after a staging area, then you have to move data in your warehouse or integration layer and all those things. And from there you have data mart. So what is data mart? We will discuss afterwards when we will discuss dimension and facts now. And I will tell you what is data mart. So for the time being, assume that this is the access layer. This is the access layer. You have the creamy data, you have the final data or good quality data here. From here, all those business users who wants to do analytics, maybe using Oracle Business Intelligence, Power BI, Tricks, or any other platform, they will connect their application to this access layer. And from there, they will get the data and they can generate reports. So this is the final fruit of entire ETL project. Okay, this is like flow. This is the question like they will ask in interviews that, okay, in ETL, tell me the high level flow, how it works. So the first thing is data sources. You will get data from multiple sources. You have to do validation. After validation, you have to move data in staging. After staging, data will move in integration layer. Most of the transformation logics will be implemented in integration layer. And from there, you have to move data in access layer. In access layer, very few transformations happen. Okay, but again, that depends on project to project. And finally, from the access layer, you will show data on the reports. And this will be done by the OBI developers. Okay, they also used to implement some logics here, some formula here. Okay. Any question so far? So, yeah.
Hello, Tanvir.
Yeah. Tell me.
Yeah, like if the interviewer asks, like, why we need staging area in ETL?
Oh, okay. Good question. Why we need a staging area? And really, many have asked this question, and they used to ask when I'm a panel of the recruitment team. So we used to ask this question that why you want a staging area. Okay. Again, I'm repeating why you want the staging area. Suppose you went to mall for shopping. Just take a very simple example from daily life. I went to mall for shopping. I have bought there shirts, trousers, shoes, okay, and some shampoo, soap, and some other thing. Okay, like that. I have bought some food items as well. So once I will enter my house, so what I will do, I will keep all those items, all those poly bags, which is having all those items what I have purchased to someone to a common location, maybe in dining space, right? After some time, what I will do, I will segregate it. Shirt will go in one almirah. Okay, shoes I will keep in shoe rack. Okay, shampoos and soaps I will keep in washroom. So like that, I will keep the items in different locations. Okay. Similarly, once when you have received the data from the source team, you have to dump data in a staging area. This is the dumping area, because immediately you cannot apply any logic here. There are two reasons. The first reason is the data what you have received from the source, there might be some bad data, there might be duplicate data. So you have to clean all this data first of all. Okay. After cleaning the data, then only you can apply the logic. So we used to keep a staging area so that we can apply the basic cleaning activity here. If there is deduplication logic, we used to check here. If any functional information is missing, we will check here. Don't think that I'm applying transformation logic here. No, I'm not applying any transformation. I'm just trying to clean the data. Clean the data means if there is duplicate data, okay, or any functional meaning is missing. So I will do all those basic data cleaning activities in the staging. Then I will apply the transformation logic, and then the data will be moved to the integration layer. So this is one of the important reason to have a staging area, because the data what we have received from the source team, we have to clean those data. Okay, hope I answered your question.
Yeah, like in staging area, we are doing the basic type of file validation, or in data source itself, we are doing the validation.
See, file validation, you are not going to do in a staging area. Once you have received the file, okay, so the file is present in this location. Okay, so
Okay.
immediately you will do the basic file validations, what I have told you. Number of source file is there or not, naming convention is correct or not, header and trailer is there or not, or whatever we have discussed, you have to do it here only. Okay.
Okay.
Now
Yeah.
the question is that how I will do. So you can do that, either you write a automated script in Unix, okay, and then you can run that on a daily basis. That's a different topic, that how you will do that. Okay, but you have to do that here only before loading data anywhere. First of all, you have to check that. It's like you went to mall. So first of all, you will check the product in the mall itself, right? It is not like that you will buy it, you will bring that in the home, and then you will check it. No, we don't do like this. No. So first
Yeah.
of all, you will check it in mall only. So that's a first of all, you will check here only. If the data looks good, okay, high level, then you will move the data in the staging area. Once the data is moved in a staging area, then you will do some basic validation checks. Like once we have bought the articles and the items from the mall, we have received the we reached our home. Then again we have to do some validations. No, we will check the bill slip, and we will check that okay, this item was MRP is this, so how much he has mentioned in the bill, how much discount he has given, how much GST he has given. Maybe I have missed some item, every item is there or not. So we used to do all those things. So that is like in a staging. Once you have moved the data, then you will do some other validations like duplication and all those things. Okay, is that clear?
Yeah, clear.
Yeah,
Okay,
clear.
perfect. Good question. Okay, where I was. Okay, so this is all about ETL, the flow I have told you. ETL flow of any typical ETL project. Okay, now let's move to the next one. Now, guys, one more thing I want to mention here. You know, like when 10 years back, when I started my career and I was started working in ETL projects, so it was like the scenario was very different. You were supposed to work in one area only. So suppose if I am working in data source file validations, so I will work in file validation only. Some other guy will work in a staging area. He will do the basic testing in a staging area. Some other guy he will do in integration layer, and some other will do report testing. Okay, like that. But now the expectation is a single guy, okay, he should know all these layers. Means they are expecting you to do a end-to-end testing. You should know each and every layer and what all test cases you have to write in each and every layers. So nowadays the interviews what they are taking, they will ask like this only. One of my candidate, he has appeared for an interview in an organization. So first of all, they told that, okay, if you're working in a particular layer of integration ETL, we don't want that. We want end to end. If you have worked on end to end, so first of all, tell me the entire journey of ETL, and then tell me in each layer what all test cases you have written. So at least tell me 2 to 3 test cases in each layers. Okay, so please make a note of all those questions what I'm telling. These are the very common questions you will get in ETL interviews. Okay, fine. In this diagram, don't get bothered about this. What is metadata? What is summary data? What is raw data? And all those things. Don't look at this. We'll see this down the line. So I'm just telling you the flow, how it is flowing. Okay. Now, this is ETL. Look at this diagram carefully and tell me, is this ETL? Yes or no? No.
Yes.
Yes. If this is not ETL, then what it is?
LT.
ELT, extract, load, and transform.
LT.
LT.
So one thing I want to mention here. So earlier when I used to take sessions on ETL, so we used to be restricted on ETL only. We discuss about ETL only. But nowadays, if you think that okay, I know ETL, I want job in ETL, so interviewers will ask me questions on ETL only. So guys, you have to change your mind. Okay, you have to shift your mind from that perspective. Nowadays, they need a candidate who is having that multi-skilling or poly-skilling. Okay, if you want to work in ETL project, or if you want to switch in ETL project, or if you are working in ETL project, so please make a note of one thing, because this will help you down the line after 3 to 4 years. If you're working in ETL project, so first of all, you should know the entire journey of ETL. You should know the different layers of ETL. Okay. Then as far as the skills are concerned, you should be smart in SQL. You should be smart in Unix. You should be smart in Python. Okay. And API as well. Please make a note of these points. This skills and this concepts, if you know, that is very good. Maybe if currently you're working in project and you might be thinking that Tanveer is telling all those things, I know only SQL, and in my project everything is working on SQL and I'm happy. I don't want to learn SQL and all those things. Okay, so guys, maybe in your current project it is happening, but down the line after 2 to 3 years, that will not be the scenario. So if you don't know the concepts of Unix or Python or API or whatever it may be, so please start learning that on a daily basis. Market is changing like anything. Now everything is moving on digital landscape. Okay, you have to be ready with these things at least. And apart from this, if you have more interest, please try to explore the world of cloud. Try to explore the world of unstructured data as well. So the summary of all these stories, please make yourself ready for the future technology landscape. Otherwise, it will become very difficult. Okay, so that's why I have implemented few concepts from cloud, from unstructured data and all those things. Okay, so hope you will not get bored. You will not think that why you are teaching all this. So this is the reason I thought that this will be helpful. Okay, but if you, any one of you think that then we want to stick to only ETL, so you can ping me. So I will change the syllabus and I will stick to only ETL. Okay. Fine. So this is ELT. This is not ETL. This is ELT. Extract, load, transform. So what is the difference? Here we are extracting data from multiple sources. You can say this is Facebook data, or you have some data from e-commerce site, or you have data from Twitter or some other applications. Nowadays, you know, you are living in a social media era, right? So you're getting data generated from multiple sources, and they're like in terabytes or petabytes or whatever it may be. So huge amount of data is getting generated. And because of this huge amount of data, you know, like this big data concept came into picture. Okay. Now in ELT, what happened? You are getting data from multiple sources. So after this, directly you will load data, all this data here. What all data you are getting, you will load it here. You're not bothered that which is a structured data, which is unstructured data, which is organized data, which is a relational data, nothing. You will just dump all the data in one database. After loading data, then you will apply some logics. You can see here it is mentioned plus, minus, multiplication, or means what a formula, what you want, you will apply after this in transformation. But ETL, what happened? You have extracted data. Then after extraction, you will do some checks. You will check the duplicate data. You will see the data which is of use for you. The data which doesn't make any sense for you, you will remove that. And then you will transform it. Then you will load it. But here, first of all, you will extract because you want all the data now. And then you will load it. And then you will apply the formula. Then you will transform it. And the reason why we are doing this is nowadays there is a huge amount of data. Okay. And it is difficult to segregate and all those things. And if you're missing any data, it means you're missing information. Okay. So nowadays, you know, like the profiles, data scientists, data analytics, why this is growing like anything? Because of this ELT. Now the number of data, the sources of data is very huge. Volume is very huge. And it's coming at a very fast pace. Okay. That's why in ELT, what we are doing, we are not bothered about sources. We're not bothered about volume. Just we want data from all the sources, all the data. That's what directly you are loading first of all, and then you will apply transformation logic. So here the main crux of the story is you want data from all the sources and all varieties of data. But in ETL we are very specific. In ETL we are very specific. Maybe sometime business have 10 sources, so they will tell that okay, we will give you data from 2 source only. I don't want data of other 8 sources, please leave it. That happens in ETL. You are very specific, you are customized. But in ELT, which is happening these days, it has started for the last 3 to 4 years. View now the business is thinking that why I should leave other sources. They are also data. They also have some information. Okay, so that's why they want data from all the sources. And then they are telling that we will load all the data. And from here we will pick what is of use and what is of no use. Because maybe this data which we are leaving will be of use after some time. So that's what ELT is there. Otherwise, flow is same. Finally, you will analyze the data. Any question on this? You guys got confused or what? Is this clear?
Yeah, clear.
Clear enough? So the
Yeah.
only difference is in ETL you are customized. Okay, that no, I want from these 2 sources only. Leave all the 8 sources. Maybe your business is having 10 sources. So in ETL you are customized. I want data from these 2 sources only. Leave those 8 sources I don't want. But nowadays the business is thinking that maybe if I have left those 8 sources, that is also having data, that is also having information. Let's keep that in our database. Okay, and then we will think which data to use and which data to not use. So this is ELT. You're not bothered about sources. You're telling I want all the source data, load it, and then after that, whatever is my need, I will apply the transformation. Then I will show that on the reports. Okay, hope this is clear. Now the next concept is, so guys, I have shifted a little bit from the ETL. So just I'm giving you overview of all these things. And so extraction part we have covered. Then I will move to the transformation part. Okay. So this is generation of data warehouse. The data warehouse started from the relational database. Relational database is your Oracle, Microsoft SQL Server, and all those things. Why they're known as relational databases? Because you are storing data in rows and columns format. Okay. So the one which I have shown you here, this is known as relational data. Why? Because they are having relation. You see, all the data, they have some relation. If I'm telling 500, this is having relation to Delhi restaurant. It means in Delhi restaurant, I have made a profit of 500 on 1st of December. So this is known as relational data. So relational data you can store in table and column, rows and column formats. Okay. But the data which is not relational or unstructured data, you cannot load that in rows and columns format. You cannot load that in table format. Okay, that's why you got a new technology like big data or Hive SQL, NoSQL, all these things. Hive, all this, for example, the new skills came to handle those unstructured data. Okay. So, high level before 2010, everything was going smoothly because most of the data was structured only. And then, after this WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, and all this Instagram, you have a lot of unstructured data. Unstructured data means you have a lot of audios, videos, and all those things. So very simple example I will give you. Take the example of YouTube. In YouTube, the video suggestions, what I am getting, it is not necessary that you will be getting same video suggestion, right? Some other person will be getting same video suggestion. Why it is like this? Who will answer this? Why we are getting different video suggestions on YouTube? Different users, different video suggestion. Why? Who will answer? Any suggestion, guys? I know you all know the answer. Just tell me.
Based on their search history, the suggestions will come.
Perfect. Based on the search history, based on the videos, what you like, what you see. If I'm interested in that political videos, so in suggestions, the YouTube will give me political videos only, right? If you are interested in sports videos, so you will get only sports videos suggestions, right? If someone is interested in religious video, he or she will get only suggestions of religious video. So how it is happening? At the back end, they have that algorithm. They are analyzing your behavior. Okay, and then as per that, they will send you this kind of data. Now, e-commerce side, you have bought a fridge in Flipkart. So once you are doing that purchase, you will see that at the bottom, they will show you that some other user who has bought fridge. So with fridge, they have bought this stand as well. Maybe they have bought this the other kits as well. They will show you like that, right? So how it is happening? They are analyzing the behavior of other users who has bought fridge. So apart from fridge, what they have bought. So they are giving you suggestions. So how it is happening? They're analyzing the purchasing behavior of each and every customer. They have some algorithm at the back end, right? So that's what. Now you have unstructured data. You have to process it. You have to analyze it. And on that basic, your e-commerce site or your social media site, YouTube or whatever it may be, WhatsApp, they're working based on this and they're analyzing the behavior of each and every customers. And as per that, they're giving you video suggestions or they're selling their products. Is that clear? So
Yeah, clear.
so that was a relational database. So far we are working in relational database. Whatever data you have, Oracle, Microsoft SQL, MySQL, or maybe PostgreSQL. So they all work on relational database. What is relational database? Data which can be stored in a table format, in rows and columns format, are known as relational database. Then slowly we move to MPP data warehouse, Netezza or Teradata. Maybe if you have worked on this. So MPP is multiple parallel process, massive parallel processing. Okay, so here processing will be much faster and you can store huge volume of data. I have worked on Teradata and Netezza both. So in Teradata, we used to work on huge volume of data. When I was working on retail banking, so huge volume of data. Otherwise, the SQL language is same, whether you're working on MySQL or Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle, Netezza, Teradata, SQL language will be more or less it is same. Very few, very less modification will be there, but overall it will be same. Then after that, there's concept of Hadoop. You might have Hadoop, big data, map reduce functions and all those things. So why this came into picture? Because of those unstructured data. Because your Oracle or Microsoft SQL Server, they cannot handle unstructured data. They can handle only a structured data. Then new concept of Hadoop, which is having that map reduce, HDFS and all those things, primary nodes, secondary node and all those things came into picture. So this will handle your unstructured data. After Hadoop, you have nowadays data lake. Data lake we will discuss after some time. Okay. And then you have cloud data warehouse. You all might have heard about cloud data warehouse. You have Google Cloud Platform, Microsoft Azure, and Amazon, and all those things. So this was like a journey. Sometimes they used to ask this kind of question. So that's why very high level. I thought that I will share with you guys. So you should know that how it has evolved with the time, different data warehouse database, and what is the reason why it has moved from one to another. Okay, so you can see here in the schematic diagram, I have seen your users table, tweets following. So in users table, you have a column username. Similarly, in tweets, you have a column username. So this is like a primary key foreign key relation. Or maybe if you don't know the primary key foreign key relation, so you can understand that users table and tweets table, they have a relation, they have a joining with the username. Similarly, following is a table. You have from user and to user. So you can use this and you can join with some other columns. So what I'm trying to highlight here is users, tweets, and following. These all are having some relation, right? You can understand from here. You are using Twitter. So they are having relation. So this is known as a relational database. So Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle database, it works on relational database only. And that's why the name is RDBMS, Relational Database Management System. But nowadays you have this ELT or data lake. So what is happening here? You are getting data from multiple sources and heterogeneous. You can see here red and blue means they are not homogeneous. Heterogeneous. Heterogeneous means sometimes you can get text data, you can get audio data, you can get video data, you can get video data in XML or whatever the format it may be. So nowadays this is the world, this is the scenario, and this is going to rule the world. So you should know about this as well. Okay. So I think we should stop here. It's like we have exceeded 4 minutes. So that was all about for today's guys. So extraction part we have covered, and then we'll move to transformation part. That is very important. In that we will discuss about different transformation logics and from an interview perspective what they used to ask. Okay. So I need just 2 to 3 more minutes. So please stick. Okay. First of all, first question and very honest feedback I want from you. Do you want me to stick to ETL only, or shall I tell you about all those things what I taught you about ELT and different generations of data warehouse, cloud database, how it works, how Snowflake work, and all those things? Tell me.
Yeah, please explain all those things.
All.
Everyone is interested in that?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Yes,
if anyone
yes,
thinks
yeah.
that
Yeah.
Tanvir, we don't have that much time, I have some strict timelines, you can ping me in WhatsApp. Okay, I'll try to do something for that. But if you're really interested, I want to share all those things. Okay, that's the one thing. Second thing, I thought that many of you, as per that your introduction, what I've received, many of you are planning to switch job in ETL, sorry, in ETL testing or ETL world. Okay, in data warehouse database, guys, ETL data landscape is going to rule the IT industry for the next 10 years. If you don't trust my words, go and discuss with anyone who is in IT industry. So if you know this area, you can get job like anything. Believe me, okay? But you have to upskill yourself every time, okay? So next question is, I have, as per the introduction, what I have received, many of you are trying to switch job in ETL. Few of you are from non-IT background, you want to switch to IT background. So many times it happened that you have a lot of knowledge, but when you have appeared for interview, you are unable to speak. You don't know what to answer. You don't know how to convince the interviewer. These all are like skills you should know. So I have thought that I will start a 20 to 30 minutes mock interview. Okay, if anyone wants to attain, if anyone is interested, you can let me know that Tanvir, I want to attain that mock interview. So in this session, okay, for the first 20 minutes, I will take a mock interview. If you want to come on video, you can come on video. If you don't want, no issue. Okay. So first 20 to 30 minutes, I will ask few questions. And then in that, I will tell you that how you have to give answer to the interviewers, what kind of questions they will ask you. If you don't know the answer for any question, how you have to behave. If they will ask you that, if do you have any question, what kind of question you have to ask. Okay. Different scenarios, how you have to give answers. Okay. This is the one thing I'm going to implement because I want to make this a complete package. I don't want to just finish the syllabus and then you have to search for job and all those things. Okay, I want to support you from testing perspective as well. So it's not like a compulsion. Those who are interested, they can let me know. You can ping me on WhatsApp. You can call me that Tanvir, I am interested. I want to attend that. So we will continue. If no, then no issues. Okay. So that's all, guys, from mine. So last call. Any question, any suggestion, any feedback, please tell me.
All good.
All good. Okay, fine then. Okay, fine then. That's all for today. Let's connect tomorrow at the same time. Thanks, guys. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.